proud to see that I have several people who are here have passed through St. Paul's. Some are reminding me, you taught me introduction to sociology. Others have reminded me, you taught me gender, sexuality, and HIV. But you can see they were learning as they were working. And they also have young children. And they also have spouses to take care of. So when you have so many multiple roles to play, and everything has to be done. If you're in school, exams have to be done, assignments have to be done. If you're at work, you have to do what you're supposed to do. You also have church, you have to go to church and the church obligations, there are social activities. So we want to see, what does this do to your mental state? And that is what we are going to look at today. So I don't know, okay, yeah, also it's, I would want to hear from you. When you heard this topic is mental state and well-being in relation to also GBV or gender-based violence, what is it that you want to hear in this topic? What are your expectations? What is it that you think you'd want to hear or learn from this session? When you talk about mental health and wellness, what do you want to hear? And then we'll evaluate and see whether I was able to cover. What comes into your mind when you hear the word mental health? What would you want to hear? Yes. Yes.
I'm expecting to hear how well I'm able to cope with everyday life, sana sana on stress management.
Wonderful. Coping. Actually, that is one of the things we are going to see, because coping. When we are looking at mental health, it is not out there. You know, those days you used to hear people get depressed. You'd think maybe ni mtu mwingine huko nje, si ndio? Can we become depressed? Are we handling stress, anxiety? Yes. So it is us. How can we cope with these demands of every day? How can we cope with stress? And by the way, that area of coping, life is never a straight line. It's not a plateau, si ndio? Kuna milima na mabonde. There are times when we are happy. There are many things that are going well in our lives. There are times we also face other challenges, maybe deaths in the family or other challenges. So life is never a constant. So at one time or another, we are dealing with a stressful situation. So we are going to see some of those things. Stress can come from internal. It can also come from external. We have just come from 2 years of COVID. Who would have ever imagined that such a disease, you know, we used to hear plague sijui iliua millions of people in Britain and I don't know, Spain and where. These are things we used to read in history. We never imagined when we are alive, we are going to see those plagues, na sijui nini, that killed so many people. But we saw it. Were we stressed during COVID time? We were facing death right in front of our eyes, isn't that so? Wondering whether it's going to catch you, whether you're going to survive it. So nobody can live a life that is stress-free. And that is why we have factors that are inside, internal, and others emanate from external. And one of it was COVID. So coping, yes. Another expectation, that's a very good one. Another expectation, yes. Yes.
How to balance my responsibilities, maybe as a parent, in my workplace and in the social areas.
Okay. So we have coping, we have balancing responsibilities. Yes, ma'am?
Oh, how do I know I'm on the borderline of from stress to depression? How do I know I've reached my limit?
Yes. That borderline, how do I know I'm heading towards the deep end? What are the signs and symptoms I am heading towards a place I need to be pulled back before I enter the deep end? And by the way, once you enter into the deep end, it's tough to, it's a process to get you back. So we always say when your stress levels have reached a point where you need help, get help. But how do you recognize that you have reached there? You remember if you have dealt with issues like alcoholism, you are the person who is seeing this person is not managing their alcohol well. Isn't that so? But the person who is taking this alcohol feel that they are still in control. Sindio? So can you be able to tell that you have reached a point where you need to seek help? Okay, that's a good one. Another one?
How to love myself more and put myself first before anything else.
Self-love, Thank you. You can see the lady who was here talked about self-love. How do you love yourself? And women, we have a challenge, We are all over. Babies, mzee, kanisa, sijui nini, chama, sijui what, shule, sijui nini. We forget ourselves. And that's why I say, thank God your employer has said, please let these ladies come here for a few days to relax and learn. It is a good thing. This is self-love. And you have managed to come here. How do we love ourselves? When do we have the me time? In all those things that we do in a day, in a week, when do we have me time? So that's a good one, self-love. Mm-hmm. Any other? Yes?
Thank you, Daktari. I was once your student from St. Paul when I was doing my degree in theology.
Okay.
You taught me introduction in sociology. My query is, it's about the GBV. Yeah.
Okay. So this GBV, gender-based violence, and the women and the girls are the ones on the receiving end. And today we are being told, even for the men, they are entering there and the boys. But still, women are the majority who are on the receiving end of gender-based violence. So how do we deal with it? How do we recognize somebody is going through, a child is being violated, your friend is going through that, and how do we seek help? Very, very important. And we actually saw GBV rates went very high during COVID time. Because for the first time, people have nowhere to go. People were forced to stay in their homes. So you can imagine if your spouse is an abusive person. At least those days you'd go to work and come very late at night. Sindio, now COVID time, you are now there at home. So many things went wrong, and we also saw pregnancies. So many girls became pregnant during that time. So GBV is actually a very important area. Any other? And then we can, yes, okay. Burnout? Mm-hmm.
How do I? Okay, afternoon. I'm expecting to learn about burnout and how I can avoid stress to get to an extent of getting burnout.
How do we avoid stress? Burnout is real with all these things that we are doing. Work has become demanding, isn't that so? It takes its toll on us. How do we deal with burnout? Yes? Oh, please. Okay. And then there, yes.
Okay, my question, Daktari.
Yes.
How do I tell that somebody is going through depression, is going through stress? The other one is we are too quick to say yes. Yes is always an answer. Is it easy to say no when you cannot manage?
How do you even say no? Maybe it is work related. How do you say, and you need the job? How do you say no? Or I need a break. Yes, very important. What are the signs and symptoms? How do we tell somebody is going through depression? The same way we are asked, would you know your child, they were taking drugs or alcohol? What would be the signs and symptoms? Can we tell? Okay, that's a good one. Yes?
Okay, my question is, how do you handle the inner pressing issues at heart, and how do you handle the repercussion? Maybe when said out, how do you handle the repercussion?
So this is somebody who has issues, and if you handle them out, they might affect others. Eh? Okay. Can we deal with it? Oh, okay, the last one. Yes. At least the participation is good. Unajua tumekula kaugali. If we don't talk, tutaanza kuombeana, si ndio? Yes. A very good one. What she's asking, you are the caregiver of somebody maybe who is depressed. How do you take care of yourself? By the way, when you have somebody who has depression in the house, it brings everybody down. And it's not just depression. When you have somebody who is sick and suffering in the house, it affects the carers. And a lot of times the carers are women. Sindio? So how do you help the carer not to be taken down by the disease or to become stressed because of the issues of taking care of somebody? So thank you so much for those expectations. We are going to see if they will be covered. So we are going to define what is mental health and wellness. We are also going to understand gender-based violence. I'm glad that has come up. Types of gender-based violence, because there are several. We have psychological, we have physical, we have sexual violence,